fat, slim, thick, no tummy. I'm too bad and I'm getting more money. Since my name in your mouth, I hope bitches choke from me.
Hello, welcome back to
Fat,
Just Be
slim,
with
thick,
me,
no
your
tummy.
host T. In today's video, I will be doing a recap and giving some perspectives to the Baddies Midwest episode 11 entitled Prank Gone Wrong. My goal, as always, is to give some perspective to the decisions that the baddies make, but also have a kiki with you. If you would like to just be with me, T, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, comment down below. I would love to engage and have some discourse and conversation with you. With that being said, let's get started. Baddies Midwest episode 11 is entitled Prank Gone Wrong. And in typical Zeus fashion, we start with a recap of episode 10, then we get the intro, and then we insert the Baddies Midwest title, followed by aerial shots of Chicago. The episode picks up with Big Lex versus Ivory, and I'm going to talk about their rounds and everything that happens in between. So, round one. In the preview, it looked like Ivory was getting Lex, but honestly, they both were kind of holding their own. The only really big thing that happens is Ivory took off Lex's wig and Lex gave Ivory another black eye. Yeah, another one. It's her second one. So Ivory got some problems. She says on her mama, she's upset. Lex's wig, and other than her eye looking like a little red, a little irritated, she's not as injured as Ivory. Clock that T. So, knowing what the fans know now, if you don't know, the baddies were already in rooms in this house. So, when Natalie was being messy by moving the names, I can understand why Lex was upset, especially if they had slept in different rooms the night before. But I also think her and Lex had this coming, the subliminal shots and not just vibing with each other. It was bound to happen. Ivory met her match and she's upset. But side note, y'all, honestly, I think Ivory and Lex might like each other and they might got some tension that they need to handle because most of their beef is not a real big deal. It's really not that big of a deal. I think they need to cuddle, if you know, you know, and get over it. Ivory is icing her eyes and she's like, well, my eye was already black. And who blacked it? Lex, and she did it again. Lex really doesn't look that bad at all. And I want to point out that, Natalie, you brought this mess. So why are you looking so confused that you let the Tasmanian devil out of its cage? You knew the type of mess that this girl was doing on Now That's TV, beating up girls for no reason, throwing bodily fluid on them. You knew what type of person she was. And you and probably Limo put her on this platform. So when you're upset that she crashed an art, you're like, it's too much. It wasn't too much when she was on Now That's TV. It wasn't too much when y'all gave her that contract for her to sign to be on Zeus. Round two, Lex and Ivory go back because Lex comes downstairs and she's like, okay, who wants me? In this one, Lex was definitely getting Ivory. I do have to shout out that Ivory did get one good shot in the face when security was falling apart. Now, Anna, I gotta clock your T because you was in the background talking about, get Ivory, get her. She wasn't doing much. Lex was eating her up. And again, something is wrong with Ivory for wanting to go round for round for round. Like, babe, just accept defeat and move on. Take the loss like a champ. Now, I know I just clocked Anna, but Anna looked really cute in her confessional. Like she looks really good with red hair, and it was giving very like Audrey Hepburn, Breakfast at Tiffany's vibes. That's what it was giving. And she honestly should have had on some blue for the Tiffany's, like a Tiffany blue would look really good on her. Now, Anna is being messy because she's like, it was just a prank. No, no. Natalie pulled the prank. Y'all ain't pulled it. So why y'all sitting up here protecting her? She changed the names and then y'all came upstairs and saw it. You all agreed and watched that she did it, knowing that Ivory was gonna get upset. None of y'all said, Natalie, don't do that. Cause ain't nobody got time to hear this girl mouth, have her crash out. Like, don't do that. Lex and Ivory go a third round. And let me tell you, Lex got her. And I got two screenshots of her left hook connecting. Ooh, ooh. Round four, they go again. And basically, Ivory bum rushes Lex, but Lex comes out still looking unscathed. The only person that really gets hurt is Tika. The chair falls on her leg and she's upset. Now, Ivory's in the background saying, oh, it don't mean nothing. The black guy didn't mean nothing. If the black guy didn't mean nothing, why are you upset? Why are you so mad? Lex isn't really talking that much. Unless Ivory provokes her, Lex didn't say nothing. And Natalie, this is your show, right? So you're responsible for all this mess that's going on. Now, I definitely think Anna did not need to speak up because it was Natalie who changed the names. Lex, I'm gonna call you out because Anna tested you and you failed. If you go after her at the reunion, it's going to be the pot calling the kettle black because you came in on this season coming for Jayla because you didn't like how she was treating Gretch because she's smaller. You didn't like how she was teaching Biggie. Biggie's bigger than Jayla. Keep that same energy, and you need to be mindful of how the fans are going to perceive you the same way you just did Jayla. Calling it like I see it. DTB and Pretty P goes at it. Basically, in the midst of Anna and Lex arguing, DTB calls out Pretty P. Pretty P's like, okay, I'm ready. Round one, both of them weren't doing very much, but I definitely give it to Pretty P because she was throwing more hands. It wasn't, very coordinated. It was very all over the place. Did she beat DTB up? No. I thought this was funny that while they were fighting, Anna's emotional support dog, aka Nugget, is the name of her dog. Could have picked a better name. But Nugget is running away. My question is for y'all. Is Anna and Scotty both good dog nannies? My answer is no. I already told y'all who I think, they got their dogs from, these emotional support dogs. But I do want to shout out to Jaden because Jaden grabbed Nugget and was holding Nugget and was like, it's okay. Poor Nugget is out here getting traumatized with this baddie mess. Now, Pretty P and DTB go again in round two. I'm calling this the battle of the windmills because that's what it was getting. It was getting very windmillish. Pretty P was getting DTB, but then DTB grabbed her wig, and that was it for their tussle, for now at least. Pretty P's confessional look was really cute. I'm starting to like her. Are you guys starting to like her? I'm starting to like her. Round three, they go a third round. I would say Pretty P definitely got DTB here. There was some anger there. But hopefully that's the end of their ish. Natalie comes back and says that Ivory wants to run another round with Lex. Lex agrees because she's scary and she willing to stand on business, unlike some of the OGs. Round five. Both Ivory and Lex are getting each other, but I know a lot of people felt like Ivory got this round because she parked Lex. But if you watched it closely, Ivory missed a lot of those hits and she didn't really do much while Lex was in the couch. She ain't do much. Now Lex circled around and she got pushed into that couch. Now, my question is, Ivory, why do you need to go again and again? Like, to me, that's a sign of a sore loser. And honestly, it's really not a good look. Take the L, move on. If you can't, she will never grow and elevate herself from this. I don't even know what to call it. Like, this debauchery, this ugliness. And I'm not saying she's ugly physically, but her actions, it's not cute. And I'm gonna talk about her actions later on that bus because anyway, so Taseki's in her confessional and she looks good and she's talking about everything is just crazy and everybody needs to calm down. She's giving very mother in this confessional. It's a good look. It was cute. The pink was cute. Natalie moves on and she announces that Scotty will be giving away another baddies chain. So Scotty picks two baddies that she thinks deserve it, and it's Jasmine and Lay. Unfortunately and ultimately, Jasmine is giving the chain, but she wants to give it to Pretty P, which is like her baddie's way. So gets upset. Rolly. I thought this was funny because last episode, when they were on the PJ, Rolly was like, the newbies need to be their own baddies and make their own way. So Jasmine's like, I want to give it to my girl. Is that not being a girl's girl? Is that not making her own way? The PJ talk must still be in the air somewhere. Now Summer is upset and she runs to snatch Jasmine's chain. They fight. Nothing really happens. Summer can't fight, but Jasmine held her own. Personally, I think Summer should have been got a chain. I think they just doing it to make her annoyed. Pretty P should have got her chain. Summer because she popped her ish at the beginning of the season, and Pretty P because she recently just proved herself against Bad Dolly before they came to Chicago. Now between Lex and Jazz, I would pick Lex because she just did her thing with Ivory, but I can see them not wanting to because Ivory is still on demon time. So if they would have gave it to Lex, Ivory would have ran up and been tearing the house down, Tasmanian devil. It just wouldn't have melded. So I get why Scotty chose the lesser of two evils. Then Zeus does some aerial shots of Chicago back to the house. We was just in the house. They do this all the time. They'll do these random aerial shots, and I'm like, why don't you just do aerial shots of the house? Back into the house to show they're in different areas. So some of the baddies are congratulating Jazz on getting her chain. Taseki, Anna, Biggie, Emma, and Pretty P are all, accepting her, hyping her up, having a good time. While others are discussing who should have gotten a chain, like DTB, Summer, and Lex. Like DTB is talking with Lex because she knows what it's like to get snubbed of a chain. So we see Tinka, she's checking in on Ivory, and she tries to gas her up. Because Ivory did not do her big one like she thought she was, okay? Now she tries to get her spirits up by giving her some shades as they get ready for the club. Also gotta call out Zeus, because Zeus had a little shaky camera moment, okay, where the camera movement was not the best. And I'm like, you left this edit in? Really? How much money y'all getting? And this is what you leave in? Next we get aerial shots of Chicago. Natalie, Rolly, and Scotty all meet with each other to discuss what to do about Slim. Rolly gives the ultimatum that Slim can only stay if she becomes her assistant lapdog. Natalie's like, well, you need to be the one to do it to tell her. Didn't I say that Natalie and Rolly were going to embarrass Slim before she's allowed to get her check and join the show? At this point, if she accepts being Rolly's assistant, she's not even cast. She's an assistant. You're not even cast on the show. You're getting paid underneath Rolly. Rolly's making a commission off of you. So Rolly meets with Slim and she gives Slim the ultimatum. Slim is like apologizing, trying to make amends. She really wants to, amend the relationship, but Rolly is a Virgo. She's stubborn. I'm a Virgo. I know the sign. She's stubborn and she's not taking accountability for anything. It sucks because they could really sit here and have an honest conversation about where things went wrong. All of it started with Zeus. But Rolly gives so many clauses like Slim's gonna be her lapdog, she's gonna do what she says when she says. Also, she won't be going to the bookings either. And Slim's like, okay, I'll take it, whatever. And Rolly takes out accountability. See, I feel bad for Slim. I think she should have came to sit down with Rolly. If Rolly didn't want to bend the men's, get your check and leave. Now she's being humiliated and targeted. But at the end of the day, she made that choice and she's gonna have to deal with the consequences of her actions for coming back to this show. Next, we get Zeus aerial shots of Chicago back to the house. What's new? So the baddies are leaving the house to board the bus. Lex looks really good. And you can't even tell that she just did 5 rounds hours earlier before they left for that club. Clock that tea. She looks that good. So the baddies get on the bus and they are toasting, baddie shot o'clock to Chicago before Ivory gets up. Ivory wants to know who really moved the names. Not only Ivory, that's who did it. She continues. She wants to run her fade and doesn't care who it is. Natalie is quiet until she reveals that she's the one that did it. Ivory continues to express wanting to fight whoever did it. Again, Ivory, Natalie is the one who did it. Scotty is confused in her confessional. She's like, did I have too much Don? Like, what is going on? And Scotty, we're all confused too. Now, Tinka's in her confessional and she thinks that Natalie is taking the fall for someone and can't wait to find out who changed the name. Y'all, Natalie Chincheck Nunn did it, okay? How many times does it have to be said for it to click? Natalie Nunn did it. Even if her name was Natalie Nunn, did it. So Ivory goes on about how she's ready and she's willing to fight Lex every single time in the house. Y'all, this girl is delusional and crazy. Lex says she doesn't care and is always ready and prepared. Next, we have Akbar and DTB and they make up. And it was so sweet. Oh, and I'm glad because their issue could have been handled if DTB just talked with Akbar and expressed how she felt. Like they could have had a grown woman discussion and showed it, and then that would have been like, oh look, the baddies ain't got to fight all the time. They can have that discussion and not get in their feelings and attack each other. Akbar is in her confessional and she agrees. She's like, I'm glad we were able to amend this. She also looks good in her confessional. Like this confessional looks good for her. Now Ivory doesn't believe that Natalie moved the name tag, which is funny because Natalie's like, no, I moved it. She's trying to take accountability. I do want to clock that Natalie was scared. She was in that confessional. I know this is my iPad, but imagine it's a phone. She's sitting there on the bus like all quiet as Ivory is going back and forth, yelling about how she's gonna get Lex all the time. And honestly, she's just making sure those security guards are prepared for anything. Now, Ivory throws a drink, real upset. And you could really tell who walked away from the fight with the win. Lex, because Lex is not coming after her. Lex is like, it is what it is. Lex says in her confessional, she will spare her tonight, but the next day, she's prepared to run them fades. And the reason why she said that is because the baddies got business to handle tonight. I said, that's period. She knows when it's time to act right and when it's time to stand on business, something that Ivory apparently has not learned yet. And I know how old she is, because it's given very frontal lobe not developed fully vibes. Not saying. Now here's the wildest thing. She talks about throwing bodily fluid. If y'all know, this is the type of girl that likes to use her bodily fluid, and I'll call it out right now. Ivory, you are disgusting. And I'm very ashamed that you would ever think of something like that to do. And you may think Lex is your match now, but you might want to be careful because there's someone else out there that's not willing to tolerate threats like this. Like I said earlier, her actions are making her look ugly. And it's not just the inside, it's coming on the outside too. You nasty. So the baddies pull up to the booking. They're all getting out. I want to clock this. What? pull up to the booking in a separate car with 4 security guards. Where was she at? Did y'all clock that? Because all the other baddies were getting off the bus, and you got Anna surrounded by security guards. That's suspicious. The baddies make it to their booking, and the baddies get in, and the club is still small. They're having a fun. They are vibing to Natalie's song, "We Outside Tonight." Her little cutesy little song. It's Taco Tuesday. This episode airs on a Sunday. See, if they wanted to be funny, they could have aired it last week, Tuesday, Taco Tuesday. Wouldn't that make sense? But they don't think ahead like that. They don't think of the funness that would have gave a little treat to the fans. Fans would have appreciated it. Ivory gets on the mic and she says she's been knocking baddies left to right. That hidden eye begs to differ, man. Now Ivory tries to be funny. She's like, "All this is mine," and Natalie's next to her, like, excuse me. Now Natalie does take the mic and she's like, "No, no, this is all mine." But Ivory sort of lets it slide and kind of doesn't address it. She kind of does, but not really. Like, she's picking and choosing who to mess with, which I think is interesting. Because if you're this big bad person, why are you letting Natalie clock you live in the club? Now, something bad happens. Dolly falls off the table. The girl done got splints on her fingers. Now she got a boot on. Next, a hip brace. She got to replace her hip. Like, poor Dolly. She's just getting injured. Sydney Star makes an appearance. And Daniela questions if Sydney is going to be following them, and she jokingly nods her head and says she might. And she joins them. It seems like the baddies had a really good Taco Tuesday night. Jasmine summed it up very nicely in her confessionals with the baddies. She was like everybody's changed. She looked good in that confessional too. Like Jasmine looked like the textbook dictionary version of what a baddie should be. As the baddie leaves, there was some commotion. Somebody kicked DTB, but the baddies continue on their way out as they continue to enjoy Chicago, Illinois. Episode 12 preview begins with Natalie stating that the baddies are headed to the United Center in Chicago because they will be participating in the live Nick Cannon's Wildin' Out. So Wildin' Out got a lot of fun games. It's what I thought Bad versus Wild was gonna be, just Wildin' Out, just adultified more. Natalie then moves on and she discusses the outcome of the name tag switch with Jayla, Rolly, and Scotty. And Natalie says it was only a harmless prank, but Ivory has taken it to another level. Natalie, you knew how this girl was before you casted her on your show, and now you're surprised with the outcome? So Natalie is confused, and she explains that she feels that Ivory is trying to check the OGs. No, she called out whoever moved the name tag, Natalie, which was you. Okay, seems to me like somebody is not standing on business and ducking a fade. Now, Rolly brings up how Slim wants to be a baddie, and she tells him that Slim could come back as her assistant. We move on to Pretty P, Jasmine, Emma, and Lex, and they discuss with Lex about Ivory. Lex says that she has no problem with Ivory if she wants to keep running these fades. She's not backing down from a fade. Right after right after right. Then we cut to Ivory, Tinka, Summer, and DTD. Ivory calls out Summer for trying to snap Jasmine's chain and tells her she should leave her alone. It's interesting because I feel that because you can't get to Lex how you want her, you're trying to go after people she's cool with. Because we all know that Lex, Summer, and Bad Dolly got this pact to help each other. Clock that T. Right? So Ivory, to me, she needs a good blessing, a prayer, and overall positive thoughts in her life. And to be honest, it's making me upset because I was really hoping I was gonna like her. I was like, okay, she's from Now That's TV. Maybe her being on Baddies, being around, sophisticated, I'm using that word loosely, being around people that have more behavior checks would actually be a positive influence for her. Maybe she'll get to see how, baddies move, how they get to the bag, how they look, all this, and that. Be a little bit different from what I heard about her on Now That's TV. But apparently she's the same BICTH and in that order that she's always been. To me, I don't see any inkling of changing, growing, or even prospering herself. I'm sorry. So the baddies appear on Wildin' Out, and Lamel, we know that's you, Blurred. He blurs himself out all the time. Like in this episode, he was in a club and he was blurred. Sir, we know it's you. We could tell by that head. So it looks like the baddies are going to be going out and enjoying some more bookings in Chicago. It looks like they're going into the studio to make one of their one-hit baddies wonder to the bad boys of Texas, because they went in and did a cast song, and they gave the baddies the idea to do a cast song. So, Miss Natalie Nunn, when is Bad Boys coming back? Because people have been asking you for like 2-3 years now. Well, it's been 2 years. It's been 2 years, hasn't it? I don't know how long. No, it's been about 2 years, because Bad Boys Texas was airing the same time that Baddies East was airing, which was like almost 2 years ago. Well, with that being said, if you liked my thoughts on episode 11 of Baddies Midwest, go ahead and hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe, comment your thoughts down below, and I'll see you all later. Bye.